It is the first episode of Off the Charts in conjunction with the ML Sports Platter and presented by CH Insurance. They're in your corner every step of the way, of course, in 2025. Personal and commercial insurance plans, plus those amazing group benefits at chinsurance.cc. Mike Lindsley, Joe Jr., and looky here, the longtime beat man and insider for the Syracuse men's basketball team. Proud to call him a friend. Awesome at what he does. Syracuse.com of the Post Standard. It's Orange Beat Man, Mike Waters. How are you guys?
I'm great.
Great, Mike. Welcome, buddy. Good to see you. And we got two legends on today, Mike.
Hey, how about that, man? How about that?
The two Mikes.
That's right. Mike, and a Joe. I mean, that's a name for a show next time, right? Mike, and a Joe. Mike, I want to start with just a really big statement / question, right? I mean, things are brutal right now for Syracuse basketball. I mean, but yet a lot of times in sports, things aren't as good as they seem. They're not as bad as they seem. NIL, portal, all these balls in the air. How bad is it?
Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not great. A losing record right now, and you haven't hit the teeth of an ACC schedule that's going to get tough here pretty soon. And they're already 0-3 in the league heading into Tuesday's game against Georgia Tech, and we're not sure the outcome of that one yet, obviously. But but it's not as bad as it seems either. I think you're right about that. If you go back to the first few games they had against Power 5 teams in Brooklyn, Texas and Texas Tech, they were right there in both games. They had a chance to win both. They weren't blown out in those games. So they're very competitive. And then shortly after that, you lose J.J. Starling for 7 games. The one guy you would say who, you could least afford to lose. They had to play without him for 7, and they went 2-5 without him. And I think they win at least 2 or 3 of those games. Notre Dame and Georgetown for sure, and we can debate the Wake Forest loss.
Right.
So if you didn't have JJ hurt, it wouldn't look quite as bad as it does now. I'm not saying they would be a great team, but they would be above 500 and, still treading water, and maybe a little bit of the hysterics going on out there in Orange Land. And believe me, I'm a fan of, not of Syracuse, but Mike, as you well know, I'm a fan of the Baltimore Orioles. I know what it's like to be a fan, even while I'm an unbiased reporter. So I get it from the fans' point of view. When the Orioles lose 3 in a row, I run around with my hair on fire too. But then I read some beat writers and they're like, hey, listen, they had to do this or that with the lineup and they hit 3 straight lefty, whatever it is. And I calm down a little bit. So, the other thing too is I don't think it's as bad as some people think, because I do think there is a chance in this day and age to make this better, in just 1 year's time. You don't have to wait on kids to develop anymore with the transfer portal. I mean, a lot of the kids on this roster are gone after this year. All the transfers that came in will be leaving. They're out of eligibility. So it's on Adrian Autry and his staff, and in particular, newly hired general manager Alex Klein, to reset this thing for next season. And I think they can.
Yeah, it's crazy that we're talking about general managers and how this is turning into like a pro sports. But Mike, first of all, I just want to say thanks for coming on. Seriously, great to meet you. For everything you do in Syracuse with the sports, hats off to you. So I just want to say thank you and great to meet you. But well,
thank you too. Again, it's always fun coming in on talking to Mike, and now I get to meet you, Joe.
Yeah,
this is great.
But with the history, players, facility, SU has it all. It's a different world now, as we've been talking about. Would you think Syracuse is less attractive, more attractive with NIL, transfer portal? When people out there think Syracuse, are we still on the higher echelon with really the country to come here and play?
I don't think they're there with the upper echelon. No, not in today's environment with NIL and the money that it takes, and the money being brought in by schools in the SEC and the Big Ten in particular. I wish I could take Syracuse fans on a tour of some of these schools that they've never seen. And when they talk about facilities at SU, many of them only seen SU's facilities. They have nothing to compare it to. We were just down at Tennessee in early December for that road game. And my photographer and we took a little tour of the Tennessee campus the morning of the game, just because we wanted to get out of the hotel. It's unbelievable. I mean, you can just see that school has more money than they know what to do with. The new facilities they have there for swimming and track. They have a baseball stadium. And Mike, I know you're a baseball fan. Joe, I don't know about you.
Oh,
but
yeah, Yankees.
This baseball stadium at Tennessee is the prettiest little park. And it's not as big as a AAA stadium, but it's nicer than a lot of them.
Yeah,
it's really, really awesome environment. Here's the thing that blew us away. You want to talk about a school that's got money for anything they want. We drove by one athletic field, artificial turf out there. It's lined with football markings and stuff. And we can't figure out what is this field for? We've already seen soccer and we've already seen, all these others. It's like, what sport is this? And we drove through the parking lot and the big sign on the fence is marching band practice facility.
God, yes. That makes Mike up there happy. Marching
band. And Mike, because he's a big marching band guy too with West Jenny, of course.
I'm a marching band dad.
Yeah, I'm from Camillus. Mike Waters went to West Jenny, but I wasn't in the band. State titles in the 80s.
My kids were both West Genesee marching band members, proud ones. So yes, but yeah, when you see a marching band practice facility, you sort of get the idea that this school's got plenty of dough. And you drive by their football stadium, it dwarfs the Carrier Dome or the JMA Wireless Dome. And the Wireless Dome's great and it's good for Syracuse, but the Tennessee football stadium can seat twice as many people.
More than, yeah. More than. And by the way, the SEC baseball thing, they've invested across the board. Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, all these schools have put piles of money into that in addition to the football. So
LSU, Vanderbilt.
Exactly. Yeah, all the way. And Vanderbilt has the tradition to go along with it as well, as we know. It's just it's a different world.
So it's an uphill battle for Syracuse. You're not a land grant state university. You don't get that kind of money from the state you're in. You don't have that alumni base that grew up in the state and then stayed in the state, and they're there to support you. So it's an uphill battle for Syracuse.
Yeah, no doubt. Joe, you got one more for Mike?
Yeah. So a little birdie told me you were in North Carolina during the Michael Jordan era in his sophomore and junior year. Best MJ story. Keep it clean and probably keep it short.
I got two, and I'll keep them short. One, I did a feature story on one of the golfers at Carolina, Davis Love III. He went on to play pro golf. You probably know the name.
Yeah.
He was the big golfer at Carolina at the time, and Michael had taken up golf. He was new to the game, though. And I interviewed Davis one time for a feature story, and he told me about the time he pranked Mike. Davis was there with Mike on a driving range, and Davis could tell the head of his club was loose. Now, Davis is an incredible golfer. He's been golfing his whole life. It's not something the average Joe would know. He turns around and tells Michael, "Would you like to try my driver?" Michael's like, "Oh my God, I get to try Davis Love III's driver." Takes the driver, second swing, the club head flies off and goes about 50 yards down the fairway. Michael's sitting there with just the shaft in his hand and like a look of panic on his face. Davis said he held it together for about 2 seconds before he busted out laughing. So that was Michael's. So Michael Jordan can be pranked, but probably not anymore. He plays too much golf. My other one is he had gone to the NBA after my sophomore year. So he's gone for 2 years. So at the end of his second year, I wanted to interview him if he came back to campus. And again, I've been doing stories about all sports figures, including the golf team, as I mentioned. So I had asked the golf coach, Devin Browse was his name, if Michael comes and shows up at the golf course, would you give me a call? Ask him if I can come out and talk to him for 5 minutes. Just give me a call. And I got a call one day, and it was from Devin Browse. And he said, "Michael's on the driving range." He said, "If you can get here in 10 minutes, he'll give you a little time." Well, I was 15 minutes from the golf course.
Flew.
So I flew out the door, got there as fast as I could, but he was done at the driving range and he and his buddies were headed to their carts. And I'm like, I'm crestfallen. I'm like, I'm not going to get it. I approached him and he said, first thing he said was wrong shoes. I remember that. I was wearing Converses.
Ooh,
Yeah. And hey, I didn't know.
yeah.
And then the other thing was he said, hop on.
No way.
So I rode for 9 holes with him and his buddies and other carts. And, you know, riding in a cart when someone's playing golf is actually not the easiest interview because they're always stopping and starting and wanting to hit and stuff. But it was still a pretty incredible experience. And even all the more so now, years later, when you look at what Michael became, right?
The GOAT, baby. The GOAT.
Was one of his buddies Buzz Peterson? Was he?
They were buds. They were really close, but Buzz was not there that day.
He was on the go, and he didn't have the big Stokey back then. Dean probably wouldn't allow that.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Those are great stories.
Mike, before we let you go, I just wanted to quickly mention, you know, I still remember, and I have a picture in front of me right now from 1992 in the exhibition when the Bulls came here after the Olympics against the Nets. And Jordan made a half-court shot at the buzzer before halftime. My dad snapped it perfectly on, you know, one of those old-school cameras that you develop at a drugstore back in the day. And it's up there. But I just remember that being early 90s, pre-social media, pre-cable channels, pre-everything. It was the Beatles, man, coming to Central New York, the championship Bulls, the 2-time champs. I was a diehard MJ fan like everybody else. Them coming here, I still would put that up there as if it's not number one, it's damn close to one of the biggest moments in Central New York. The Bulls coming to the backyard here, 30,000 fans with MJ the GOAT right after the Dream Team a few months before. You think about how big that is if that happened right now. Come on, man, you know?
You're right. And I don't know if anybody today, 30 years later, can completely understand what that was like. Like you said, pre-social media, all this stuff. But yeah, Michael Jordan was a happening. And when he came to Syracuse for that, it was an event. It was pretty wild.
I was freaking out. I had my Air Jordans on. My dad and I went up to the Dome. It was one of the greatest days of my life. I was 13 years old almost, and it was unbelievable. So was this segment with Mike Waters, a Syracuse basketball beat man and insider. Go get him. Follow him on X. Awesome to talk to you. Keep up the great work as always through your career, and we'll be sure to keep tabs on you and catch you at the Dome throughout the next few weeks as we see what happens with Orange basketball, Mikey. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Well, I appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for having me on, and great meeting you, Joe. Again, much appreciated.
You got it. Kudos to you, and Happy New Year. Go Orange.
Man, Mikey Waters is the best, huh, Joe?
I'll tell you. First of all, I didn't know he's from Camillus, a Wildcat.
Surprised you.
How long do you guys go back, Mike?
We go back enough. I mean, pretty much media days. So, like, I met Mike when I was probably interning for WHEN about 20 some odd years ago. And then right when I got out of college, I started, you know, getting credentials for the games. So I just started meeting him there. And when we were looking at houses, we never bought, but we went, you know, kind of talked to his wife a little bit because she's in that industry. And Mike's connection with marching band with his kids. And so we, you know, there's just a lot going on with Mike. And, you know, he recently lost his dad. I recently lost my mom. So he's just a good, awesome salt of the earth guy, man. And he does a heck of a job. So
yeah, he knows all the inner workings. You can tell that.
No doubt. Well, 2025 is off and running with our first Off the Charts, brought to you by CH Insurance. Joe Jr., Mike Lindsley, and Mike Waters, our first guest. We got people. We got people lined up, folks. If you didn't hear the first or the last show of 2024 with leaders in the community, sports, everywhere, the insurance business, you name it, we're going to try to get the best people in the best worlds, the best content. And when it comes out, when we get them, we release the show. That's how it works. And we'll try to repurpose those for you as time goes on as well. 2025, though, off and running in the insurance world, Joe. Holy smokes.
Yes, it is. I'm sure you have some insurance resolutions, Michael, but we helped you last year, so you're set for 25.
My resolution is to be in your corner more.
Yes. Well, what's happening, just take a peek. A lot of the insurance companies are, they're renewing things 60, 90 days out, right? The bill comes to either a personal family member or a business. Make sure you take a peek, peel the onion back a little bit, understand your coverage. If you haven't talked to an independent agent or a person at the agency you work with, you have to reach out to him or her to analyze what you have. Needs have changed. Businesses have changed. Payrolls are up or down. Sales are up or down. Your family life is different, right? Junior may be off to college. A lot of different things to really look at the program to give you the best coverage at the really, Mike, the most economical premium. And we're going to let you know if you're in the right place. And I know you know John Serino, Joe Corsi, my daughter, Diane. We analyze everything. And the neat thing, we get back to you. We get back to you on a timely basis. And we'd love to be in Central New York's corner in 2025 for any insurance program you have.
And will be for the next 25 years. Group benefits, personal, commercial packages. Check out the interactive website at chinsurance.cc. It's off the charts, part of the ML Sports Platter, brought to you by CH Insurance in your corner. Joe Jr., Mike Lindsley, Mike Waters, and of course, we'll keep coming at you with the best guests around the area. Joe, thanks a lot, my friend. Take care, okay?
Thank you. Have a great day.